Hello everyone, welcome to a review and first impressions for Gears of War Ultimate Edition. This just released in the wee hours of today, actually. I've stayed up for a while playing this. I haven't done a midnight release in a long time. Much better when you're just pre-ordering it digitally. You can do it at home, so that's nice. But today we'll be running through, showing you some comparison footage between both the original Gears of War and this Gears of War Ultimate Edition. There's not enough time in the world to show you every little difference in the cutscenes and in the gameplay, and especially because I've only made it through Act 1 in Ultimate Edition, I physically can't, but this should give you a good idea as to the changes they've made and just how much of, I guess, justice they do the original title. So, I'm in love with this game. I was very happy when the beta came out, and I've been playing it religiously. So I'll get into a little bit of what exactly they did. So as far as upgrades go, number one, the resolution is now true 1080p, just like with other Xbox 360 titles. Gears of War 1 was locked to 720p, 30 frames per second all across the board, and at the time looked pretty good. Did not age so well, so it was very much due for a graphical overhaul. The graphical quality, as you can see from the cutscenes and in-game, is up to modern standards, if not, beyond that. It's one of the best-looking games I've played in recent times, especially probably the best-looking game on console. It's very, very close to the Halo 2 remaster. I can't really... It's a toss-up between the two, but... Either way, they did a fantastic job overhauling it. The frame rate is also more stable in campaign, I've noticed. You can even see in some of this campaign footage you're seeing on 360, the frame rate's not exactly always 30. There's several drops a lot of the time during big explosions or executions or whatnot. It's a lot better now, as it should be, as the campaign is still locked to 30 frames per second, but I'll get into that later. So that's a good thing. The cutscenes have been completely remastered, and we're not talking about like they just took the original cutscenes and reskinned it in the better graphical quality. They completely reimagined everything. They went back to the drawing board and said, what is this cutscene trying to capture? What was our original intent, and why could we not completely do it the right way because of our technological limitations at the time? So they went back, re-storyboarded a lot of it. And not only does it look fantastic, it has a much more genuine feel. There's a lot of facial close-ups that they couldn't do back in 2006 that really bring the story together and show some deeper emotion in the characters and makes them a lot more likable and a lot more relatable. So the cutscenes are fantastic, especially when Rom enters. That is a badass cutscene. I'll hopefully put a comparison here. Along with the graphical remaster, the audio has been tinkered with a little bit. The Lancer sound is like it was in Gears 2 and 3, which I like better than the... I always called the Gears 1 Lancer and Hammerburst the shower head. It sounded like shh. Now it actually has a good punchy assault rifle sound like it should. The dialogue between the characters hasn't been redone, interestingly enough. However, they've been re-engineered. They've ran through some compressors and EQs and stuff, and the sound quality, even though they didn't re-record the lines, sounds so much better. You can especially hear it in the cutscenes when they're talking between each other. The work they've done really brings out the voice actor's original acting job, and because before it just didn't do it justice. It's so much better now, and it surprises me that they were able to do that much without having to re-record everything. Anya still sounds a bit weird to me, but I don't know if that was just a different voice actress or she just like raised her pitch. But either way, it sounds fantastic. So that's great. I've not gotten there yet, but they have added PC content. So from the 2007 Gears of War 1 release on Windows PCs, there was like, I don't know what they said, 2.5 hours, I think, of content that was not on Xbox 360, including a Brumac fight and some other miscellaneous stuff. Now, like I said, I haven't got there, and I don't have footage for you of that, unfortunately. but they have added it to the Xbox One version, and I cannot wait to play that because that sounds so fucking cool. So that's a welcome treat for those of us who didn't have a PC that was worth a flying fuck back in 2007 to run this game. Along with some of the like the cutscene redesigns, you know, they kind of went back to the drawing board and said what in this is not working. They did do some other asset redesigns, most notably General Rom. I've always been in love with Rom's old design. The alligator look is what I always called it. He was basically just a beefier Theron guard with a different head and that little headband thing. They've changed it up quite a bit, and you can actually, I could plug it below. They made a web page on the Gears of War website showing their redesign process and how much it's changed. They've covered up a lot of his arm skin, more bulky armor, higher horns on the back to signify that he is of higher rank. They got rid of that little headset thing and added more of like a jaw neck guard, and really defined his eye that has a scar over it. There are certain things about this design I wasn't crazy about at the beginning, especially the covered up jaw. It just, I don't know, it didn't feel 100% right, but the more I play as that character in multiplayer and see him in campaign, I think I like it better. I wish they could have maybe compromised between the two to make it a little more original feeling, but I think by the time I finish the campaign, it'll feel like good as new to me, and that's the original way it should have always been. So some people aren't crazy about it. I personally like it, but I'll have to see how my mood changes. But there have been asset redesigns, so just keep that in mind. One of the coolest things for me about this game that was showcased in the beta is the multiplayer is 1080p 60 frames per second, which is why this video is in 1080p 60 frames per second. I'm not just wasting bandwidth here. It controls so much better, and I think this is a necessary addition in multiplayer especially. You can play as characters from all across the Gears of War saga, as I can tell. I'm only up to almost level 10 at this point, but I've already unlocked I think Samantha Byrne from Gears 3 and Cantus from Gears 2, obviously. So you'll be able to play as a lot of characters, and I have a feeling, maybe Beloved Scourge and some of the other really cool characters are in there as well. So look forward to that. Also, got some pre-order bonuses and that sort of thing. But characters and weapon skins are in this game, which kind of look weird to me, honestly. But a lot of them are cool. So they brought, some other customization options from the other games to here. So that's nice for you people that do like that. This game does have 1250 gamer score. Most of the achievements are the same from the original release, as you can see looking flipping through this screen here. They did change up a few things. Unfortunately, Seriously is not one of the ones they dropped. Yeah, we still have to get 10,000 kills in Versus. However, it's going to be much more doable now, as long as the achievement isn't bugged, because back in the day, man, that was horrific, because you could get like 10,000 kills, and it would reset sometimes based on like the monthly server. I don't know what they did, but it was horrible. But they got rid of like the 100 kills with this weapon, 100 kills with that weapon. They've added in some different stuff, like leveling up and playing on all the maps and playing on all the game types and yada yada yada. So I like the achievement list better. There's still going to be some motherfuckers in here. Like, they have some annex achievements, and there's not even an annex game mode yet. It's just King of the Hill, so we'll see how that adds. But overall, much more doable achievement list, and I think it'll actually be kind of fun to complete this game now. I only have like 1100 and something in Gears 1 because, yeah, fuck Seriously, is all I have to say. And lastly, as far as upgrades go, this game plays amazingly on an Xbox One controller. Active reloading is so much more satisfying with the clicky bumpers. And if you've watched some of my past reviews, I've bitched nonstop about these clicky bumpers on the Xbox One controllers. And supposedly there's going to come out with a new design that kind of remedies a little bit of that. Especially for games like Dark Souls that use right bumper and left bumper as the main, instead of left trigger and right trigger for shield and sword. But for this game, and most shooters in particular, it does work very well. The thumbsticks are a much needed upgrade. I can't even go back to the 360 controller anymore because of the horrible thumbsticks. But aiming is a breeze, movement's a lot better, and overall it's just a much better experience playing on an Xbox One controller. So that's good. And if you do happen to pick it up on PC whenever it does release, I would play the campaign with the Xbox One controller instead of 360 if you really want a next-gen experience, quote-unquote. So overall, I'm very satisfied with the release of this game. There are some things that could have been better, and I think will be better with the PC release, but for as far as a console game goes, I'm very happy with it. The first really good thing about this is it's only a $40 price tag for the base game. Now, you can buy a $60 version that has all these skins and bullshit that I really didn't care about, but for a $40 price tag, you get a fully remastered multiplayer, fully remastered single player with redone campaign, 1250 more gamer score potentially, and the matchmaking works. Unlike, Master Chief Collection at launch, the matchmaking works flawlessly, so you could just jump right in and have a really good multiplayer experience. And this is a very different thing from when the remasters first started popping up, like Halo 1 back in 2011. It was a $60 title for redone campaign and a few maps in Halo Reach multiplayer. It didn't even have its own dedicated multiplayer. So I think this is a fucking fantastic value, and if you're a Gears of War original fan and want to play it again, or if you've not played it and you just want a really good point to jump in on the series, you're crazy if you don't buy this. So absolutely perfect price point to me. The cutscene remasters, like I said before, beautifully done. They're I think the only things that rival them are the Halo 4 and Halo 2 Blur cinematics. But as far as in-game Unreal Engine 3 goes, they're beautiful, and I think they capture the gritty environment of Gears of War perfectly. So very happy with that. And, like I said, they couldn't do everything they wanted to do in the first game due to technological limitations at the time and budget constraints. So I think they really did capture the original intent of the first game just perfectly. Another cool thing about this game that has not come to fruition yet is anyone who buys this will get Gears of War 1, 2, 3, and Judgment on Xbox One via backwards compatibility with the Xbox 360. So if you're like me, you own pretty much all of them. I didn't buy Judgment because it didn't look that good to me, but if you don't own them, this is once again a perfect starting point, because not only do you pay $40 for this wonderful game, but you get Gears 1, the original, if you want to go back through and see how it plays, Gears of War 2, 3, and Judgment, and I assume all the DLC with all those games. I'm not 100% sure, but nonetheless, you can at least go through and play all the campaigns, and you can have the full story, experience on Xbox One. Now, obviously, not all of them. They're still 720p 30. But Gears 2 and 3 have aged a lot better than 1. Just to let you know, I went back and played them. So that to me, $40 for what is essentially 5 games, one brand new game with a remaster, multiplayer and campaign, and then the other 4 that were on 360. You cannot pass up that offer to me, so that's fucking sweet. The only things I think could use improvement and are cons of this game. Number one, I was a bit disappointed to learn that the campaign was locked to 30 frames per second. And now they did that to quote-unquote push the visuals. They'd have to turn down some eye candy to get it to run at 60 frames per second. But honestly, looking between the multiplayer and campaign, I just don't see what they had to do to, make it to where it ran at double the frame rate. The only thing I can figure is that the dynamic lighting is toned down a bit for Gears 1 multiplayer, and perhaps it's just basically a reskin of Gears 1, whereas the campaign is like made from scratch, because you can look at all the assets and they, like I said, they capture the original intent, but it's brand new. So for whatever reason, they just couldn't get it up to 60 frames per second on campaign. I would have liked if they did, but at the end of the day, it still plays really good. And if this is how they have to do it on consoles, if they want to get their AAA, shiny graphics on single player and have to tone it down just a little bit to get 60 in multiplayer, that's a trend I can actually get behind. So the only bad thing about that to me, it does make switching back and forth between multiplayer and campaign just a little bit weird, but it's not jarring. It's not like going from this game to Gears of War original, because doing that was horrific. But it's a little weird, but at the end of the day, I'll settle as long as I can get 60 in multiplayer. There is local split screen, both in campaign and multiplayer, which is lovely. I've been shocked if there wouldn't have been, because that was kind of a staple. But there's no bots in private games or local, and to me that was one of the best features of Gears 2 and 3. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea not to put them in if they're doing all these other things, including like other modernizations to multiplayer, like they've added spotting and showing who's down it is and online. So I don't see why they didn't prioritize putting bots. But if I had to guess, it's for selling more Xbox Live Gold subscriptions and forcing you to play online, which is fine. But for us, if you just want to dick around and practice, bots are a really good thing. So I was kind of disappointed they're not here, but they weren't in the original, so I guess it wasn't within their scope. The only other con I could possibly see is this is going to release on PC. That's not the con. I'm so happy for that. Like, I think exclusivity for anything is bullshit. I own an Xbox One just for the exclusives. And I wish every exclusive game would come to every platform. It's just stupid. But this game will run better on PC, obviously. They even said they have support for up to 4K resolutions across the board, I assume. And I would think they'd even have support for extremely high frame rates, like 144 frames per second. The only bad thing about that is I don't like playing third-person games in keyboard and mouse. So I know I would get absolutely destroyed online trying to play with a controller. I'm fine. I like first-person shooters with keyboard and mouse, but I just don't think I could do it with Gears of War. And I'm so used to playing it with a controller, so that's okay if you're used to it. But for a PC player that wants to go competitively, you pretty much have to use a keyboard and mouse. So, but at least it is coming. Don't know the release date, but it will be coming to PC, and I think that's fucking sweet. And if they have separate achievements and it shows up as a separate game on my gamer card, and you're damn right I will buy it on PC again just for more achievements. So, yeah, I'm a little bit of a achievement whore if you can't tell. But that's really it for this review first impressions deal. I'm very happy with it. Like I said, for $40 price tag, you're getting a metric ass load of content, and I think if this is your first venture into Gears of War, this is a perfect place to start, because you're going to get the rest of the bundle anyway. I would play I wouldn't play competitively online. I'd play some social matches to try to start out, because some of the people I played with last night were really bad. And I don't recommend hopping right into competitive if you don't know how to use an Asher. But other than that, fantastic game. Probably my favorite release so far of the year. That's compared to Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. I was very happy with that game too. But I don't give numerical ratings. I would just give it a thumbs up across the board, and I'm very happy with what they've done. And kudos to the newly formed Coalition developer team. I think they got some shit going on, and seeing how they handled this, it gives me some hope for Gears 4, which I had none beforehand. So don't fuck that up, please. But if you like this review, all that bullshit you can do, but you can check out some of our other stuff if you have any qualms. I think we got a ESO review, Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, Witcher, Killing Floor. I think that's about it. But if you want to see some more Gears of War content, click the subscribe button, and we appreciate your support. So that's all I got. Go pick this game up if you got an Xbox One, and if you don't, wait for it on PC. See you later.